Hi, Attorney Steve Vonner, and welcome back to a special St. Paddy's version of Litigation Whiteboard. Okay, Attorney Steve Vonner here with you. We are talking in this video about informal discovery. So without further ado, let's head to the Attorney Steve Litigation Whiteboard. All right. So here we are. So we're talking when you're involved in a lawsuit, maybe you're the plaintiff, maybe you're the defendant. You're looking for information because you have to prove your case. If you're a plaintiff, you have to make what we call the prima facie case. You have to show the elements and that you have proof of the cause of action that you're asserting. If, for example, if you're asserting negligence, you need to show that there was a duty, that there was a breach, that it caused your damages. The burden of proof, as we say, is on the plaintiff. So to do this, and for defendants, likewise, if you raise affirmative defenses, you're defending the lawsuit, you have to raise and prove your defenses, as we say. So how do you do that? Now, we all know, I think, that there's a formal way to do it. This is probably what everybody thinks of. You hire a lawyer and you send out interrogatories, form interrogatories, and interrogatories are really just questions you're asking the other party under oath. And, did you do this? Where were you on this day? Give me a list of this, give me a list of that. That's one way to get information. Depositions, bringing people in under oath once again, and giving testimony to your questions face to face. That's probably, to me, your best way to get information because they're on the spot. RFPs, request for production of documents. You can ask for your opponent to turn over certain documents to which they have to turn over. And subpoenas, sending subpoenas to third parties saying, to a bank, you've got all these records, I need these records, those sorts of things. So that's what we call formal discovery. But this video is going to talk about informal discovery. These are things that don't depend on your adversary providing you with information. Because let's face it, you get involved into a litigation, your opponent's usually not just going to hand you all the goodies and say, here, you got me. Usually lawyers, for better or for worse, are protecting their clients and trying to find every way possible not to give you information to help you prove your case. So this is why we rely on also informal discovery. So not only are you engaged in these types of activities, but I have my other top 10 that I'm going to go over with you. So one would be Google, just a simple Google search. When a case starts, I like to know who's my judge, who appointed the judge if we're in federal court, how'd the judge get there, who appointed the judge. Sometimes you look and see, well, were they appointed by a Democrat or a Republican? Sometimes, not that politics is supposed to play into it at all, but, I don't know that people can always separate their politics from their beliefs. Look up the other law firm. Find out who are you opposing. If you're going up against a big law firm, go to their website, check out the attorneys. Usually the attorneys will have a big, long profile. You can also check them out on AVVO, AVVO. That's another site where you can go look and see what a lawyer's practice areas are, what kind of things they're really engaged in. For example, you may find a case where a lawyer is a family lawyer and they're threatening you with a copyright litigation. Well, you may say, well, this is kind of weird. Maybe they're doing it for a friend. Who knows? So I always want to look up the other attorneys, see what's going on. I want to know who my judge is. You can also do just basic historical research. You can look for Google your litigant that you're going up against. If it's John Doe, search John Doe. Try to find out what John Doe's been up to. Maybe you find some critical documents. Oftentimes you'll find something. I was in one case where a client said something had happened to him. I'm not going to go into details, but he said something had happened to him and he's blaming my client. While on a website, I saw a page where he says, I have no idea how this happened. So, things like that where you can call him out at a deposition with that document and say, well, why are you blaming my client? Here on the internet, you said you didn't know who it was. Now you know who it is. I see. So things like that, so you can find facts, documents. You can sometimes go into YouTube and do a video search. You can do a search of the lawyer. Sometimes you can find the judge. Get a sense of their personality because this is who you're litigating with. So it's ultra important to, as they say in Sun Tzu, the art of war, know thy enemy, okay? So that's really important. Again, if you're fighting against a corporate defendant, certainly you can go to their website, see what they do. Sometimes you will find some gems on their website little documents or publications that they've done, or they might link you to some speaking engagements that they did. You can then go look up the speaking engagements. So there's a lot of different things you can do, but it takes the time, the due diligence to get out there and take a look. But Google search, I mean, I would just spend, if you're in a serious litigation, I'd spend a full day just going through, seeing what you can find, searching, and exhaust. Sometimes you got to go into page 2 of Google, page 3 of Google, 4, 5. Dig it in and see what you can find. Alternate your search terms. Sometimes you want to put your search terms in quotes, meaning I need this phrase to come up, like, John Doe lawsuits or something, to see if he was ever involved in a lawsuit. So those are really important things. Google search, free, no charge. Why wouldn't you do it? Next one, really important side, if you don't know about this, it's called the Wayback. Okay, so a lot of times you're dealing with cases nowadays with domain names, and you have people that have multiple domain names, or a company they used to have that's at issue in your case, johndoe.com, and you say, well, the site's not up anymore. Well, you can go to the archive, what we call the Internet Wayback, archive.org, or you can put Internet Wayback, and you can put in the domain name, and it will show you a history going back, the history of that domain, and you can actually catch some screenshots and see what kind of things they were talking about. And sometimes you can just find some jewels in there, some tremendous nuggets. So this is a great place to go to search for domain names and see what was going on web pages, okay? Regulatory, number 3, regulatory discipline and licensing. For example, if you're involved in a case with a real estate agent, okay, you would want to look up the agent or a property manager. You'd want to look them up to see if they're properly licensed, okay, and you can do that on, for example, in California, the California Bureau of Real Estate website. You can do a history. You can also usually find out, and the same is true of lawyers, when you're searching out your lawyer here, you can also check the lawyer out, see if the lawyer has any discipline. Not that it's totally going to help you, but you get a better picture of what you're dealing with. That's really what you want in litigation, is you want no stone unturned. You don't want any surprises. You want to know who you're dealing with. But these regulatory databases, if it's a financial broker, maybe it's FINRA, so depending on the industry, if it's insurance, go look up the Department of Insurance Agency, find out that person, their licensing, see if there's any discipline. You may find some gems for your case. Google Earth is another one. Again, if you're involved in, let's say, a property dispute, Google Earth, you can get these micro shots of real estate and things like that, and over time, and see what the real estate looks like. So most people know about that. That's another important tool that might be used. People search, sometimes you're looking for different people involved in the lawsuit. It may be the defendant or the plaintiff. It may be some third parties that are going to be witnesses, and you need to find people. Or you want to find out a history of where people lived, so you can find certain things. Or even just to serve somebody, if you're saying, I've got to serve somebody, issue service of the summons and complaint, but I don't know where they live. A people search tool, I like Spoko, that's one that I use. The sites like Westlaw and Lexis, they have different people searches tools that you can use. And you can also use Google, but I've found that the people search tools are better at this than trying to find somebody on Google. So that's a really good trick to have in your toolbox. Here's another one, Pacer. Now, Pacer is good if you're looking up an attorney and you want to see, like I said, the law firm. You can see, what you can do in the Pacer is you can search all federal cases, bankruptcy, civil cases, criminal cases, all cases that originated in the federal courts. You can find those on Pacer. You have to pay a couple bucks to download the documents, but these can be invaluable. You can find cases that are similar to yours. You may have done a Google search and said, wow, this is a great case. It comes from the federal court, Central District of California, and I'm going to go look it up in the Pacer. You find the case. You can find the attorney that's on the case. And I've known litigants, and even myself, where we call the other side and say, hey, I noticed you were on this case. I know you're probably bound by a confidentiality agreement, but is there anything you can tell me in general, or something you can point me in the right direction, kind of thing? Okay, so the Pacer search is invaluable. I use it all the time. I love it. So that's a great one. Now, another important tool for the litigator is the verdict search. Okay, because sometimes you think that your case is worth $1 million and you're just convinced. Well, there's one way to find out. There is a tool. For example, I use Westlaw, which I love. I think for me is better than Lexis. I've tried them both. But I like the Westlaw. They have a verdict search tool. You can push in there. For example, you can put right of publicity verdicts, and you can type that in, and you can see, somebody used somebody's photo in a magazine. The plaintiff's offer was $40,000, or the defendant's offer was $40,000. Plaintiff wanted $500,000. Case settled. And they'll give you a range of what you think the case would settle for. So, and sometimes the actual number. So verdict search is also an important tool. Sometimes give you a better understanding of the value of your case. Business entities, when you're dealing with business entities, oftentimes you want to know, are they properly licensed? Where are they licensed? Did they have a suspended status? What is the exact status? Are they a real corporation? Or can we go in and pierce the corporate veil because there's really no corporate shell here? So business search tools, those are typically done through your state. For example, if you're doing a search on a California business, you're going to want to go to California Secretary of State and check it out. You'll find information on your corporations and who's licensed and who's not. So the business entity search is another great tool. Other things, just informal, talking about informal discovery. Again, if you're involved in a real estate type of dispute, something dealing with, something that's not digital, let's say, go out and visit the site, take some photos, take some videos, see what you can find. You might be surprised when you go out and actually view the scene of the crime, so to speak. There may be some key details there that you didn't realize, and it helps you put the entire picture in perspective. This is what you want, the entire picture based on all the discovery that you can do to try to find out as much as you can about the case to help put you in the best position for settlement or victory. Okay, so the last one I have is private investigator. I think everybody knows this. If you really need to know the whereabouts, what somebody's doing on a day-to-day basis, you may have to do a private investigator. They can do, campouts or whatever and follow people for days, however much money you have, because they can get expensive. But that's another tool in your toolbox. So hopefully this gives you a good idea of, as litigators, what we do. These are the types of things we're looking at, the types of things we're trying to find out, because these are turning over the rocks. These are turning over the rocks in litigation to find out everything you possibly can. And then researching your case law, that's a whole nother story, saved for another video. But I hope you like this video. Attorney Steve Vondran, licensed practice law in California and Arizona. We take federal copyright cases nationwide. And if you need some help, you can find us on the web. There's my website, attorneysteve.com. And we hope you've enjoyed this. Have a great St. Paddy's Day. If you liked the video, give me the thumbs up. Give me some comments if you have anything to say. And don't forget to subscribe. Happy St. Paddy's Day. Got to get back. Well, I'm actually not going back to work today. Going to have fun today. So relax. Have a great day. Thank you all for watching. Take care.